I know you mentioned to me before we started that your book, The Obedience Paradox, part of the reason that you think it's valuable is as a marriage preparation tool. So I wonder if you could tell us, like, what is the central thesis of your book that you think is so important for couples preparing for marriage, and has the church been doing an effective job with this? You know, do you think that your book would be something that's going to help turn the tide?
Yes. Well,
and why?
I certainly hope so. It's always difficult. It's sometimes I think the church feels like pre-Cana is sort of the last stop, right? Just like, you know, for some kids, okay, this confirmation, we know these kids are going to come and get confirmed, and then they're never going to come to church again. So we got to make the confirmation prep really hard and a lot of hoops to jump through, you know, and it's hard sometimes not to think that way, but I don't think that has been effective. And I don't think keeping pre-Cana is sort of like, all right, this is the one thing we can hold over you. You can't get married until you take these classes. In the end, it ends up creating an atmosphere where people just, I don't know, they view it as a hoop to jump through. So I think ultimately the solution has to be from the beginning, you know, educating our kids, but really acknowledging that the kids are educated not just from the CCD classes or the Catholic school classes, but through the family. And just because you send your kids to a school doesn't mean that you're off the hook, right? It's passing on the faith as a family and living it as a witness. So, I mean, this is a battle that's going to be fought on many fronts and needs to be fought on many fronts. One way in which I think my book will hopefully be a tool, a good tool, is it's sort of a two-pronged approach. When you look at Jesus as a symbol of authority, right, and the church as an example of submission, obedience, how is it that Christ is the head, right? He is the head because he serves his body, the church, by laying down his life, right? Or at the Last Supper, Jesus shows that he is the head. How does he lead? He washes everybody's feet. Okay, so authority as a life-giving, as a laying down of one's life in service, that, you know, so my book tries to understanding authority as tyranny and control and not letting people have freedom. Like, that is a bastardization of authority. That's sort of the example of bad authority lived in a sinful way throughout the ages. But from the beginning, God's power, even in the Garden of Eden, in creation, his power was shown through the loving gift of creation. So if authority is ultimately laying down your life for the other, okay, serving the other's life by laying down one's life, then submission to correspond to that is essentially a receiving of that gift. For every time something is freely offered, right, that's only part of a gift. You wouldn't say that a gift has been given unless at the same time someone is freely accepting that gift. And so my book really does a deep dive on what is the meaning of receptivity and what I call the power of receptivity. It sounds easy. It's not, right? It is this vulnerable trusting of the other. It is really an opening to relationship. The only way that human relationships, human spiritual unions take place is through a free offering and a free reception. And so sort of everything is in the context. This is what a marriage is, okay? But then I use Edith Stein to say, actually, though, this corresponds really beautifully to our spiritual physical design and those distinctions I was talking about earlier between the masculine and the feminine. They actually lend themselves to this dynamic. Just like we were saying earlier, men tend to identify with their work, okay? Which means when a man does something to serve his family, and that thing that he does is well received, right, is appreciated by his family, he is feeling well received. That is how men experience love, when what they do is well received. Women, it's different. Because we're person oriented, we crave the gift of the other. We want the other person. Okay, so we do, in a sense, long to be given gifts. We long to be given things that makes us feel loved. And I think St. Paul, when he's wrapping up his speech in Ephesians 5, he wraps it up with, husbands, love your wives, and wives, respect your husbands. And sometimes people can think, oh, I thought love was like a two-way street. Aren't we both supposed to love each other? And yes, we are. But when a man is experiencing respect, that's how he feels loved. And so to really get into the gifts of the masculine and the feminine and how they can work together, I think it really opens up a space for us to see, okay, how can I, in a concrete way, submit to my husband? And again, these words have become like crazy, dirty words: obedience, submission. Oh my gosh, it means you're a slave, you're subhuman, or the guy's making all the decisions. And what does this mean, right? I've heard a lot of homilies where a priest had to deal with the epistle, Ephesians 5, and he was nervous and sort of spent the rest of the homily talking about what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you're a doormat. It doesn't mean this. And that's important. But I wanted to know what it does mean. And I don't shy away from even things like, does a man have a sort of final say, decision-making capacity in marriage? We go there.
Hi, thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking on that red subscribe button and click that bell so you'll be notified when we upload new content. Check out all the links below for subscriptions to Inside the Vatican magazine and to the Moynihan letters, which is free to your inbox. You stay connected. It's content that you can get nowhere else. All that information is below. Thank you.